Hi, everybody. Welcome to Culture by the Uncultured. We are your hosts, DJ, Sam, and Taylor B. On today's episode, we got a couple topics for you guys. We're going to kick it off right now with the NBA Finals. Let's give you guys thoughts and opinions on that.
I bet everybody that Toronto was going to take it in 7. And of course, they make an ass of me and take it in 6.
I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, I thought it was going to go 7. But as soon as Clay went out, I was like, yeah, that's
a wrap.
That's it. They held on for a while. They played good, but just couldn't keep it up at the end. And it's the last part. I know I put it in the group chat. How do you not know you're out of timeouts?
Oh,
Well, I think it's kind of like the same thing with last year's finals. You know how last year's finals, J.R. Smith had that same kind of goof up moment? I think it was the same thing. The heat of the moment. I mean, and plus, who knows? You get that extra timeout off. Maybe the refs aren't paying attention and they give them that timeout. Then it's a different story,
Yeah.
As long with you going with them in 7, I actually had them winning in 6. I said Toronto in 6, but the only thing that I didn't like about this finals, I'm happy Toronto won. With Kawhi being a San Diego State alum and us being from San Diego, I'm just huge on Kawhi Leonard. But I don't like that. I think the narrative is kind of a little sour because of the Klay Thompson injury, because of the KD injury, because now you got people.
That was like the first thing I saw.
Yeah, you got people coming around saying, "Oh, you're taking away from this team that beat Golden State in Oracle 3 times."
Well, it doesn't matter.
You're taking away from their success.
Because if you remember at the beginning, everyone's like, oh, Golden State don't need KD to win the finals. They did it before without KD. They can do it without KD again.
Draymond said that too, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it turns out, no, when you're playing a legit team, you guys need KD because they squeaked by the playoffs the whole time. They just squeaked by. Oh yeah, they won, but the amount of double digits leads they had, going overtime with Portland, making Golden State fans shit themselves against Houston.
Yeah.
You guys literally just squeaked by. And then you have to play a team with the claw for one. Kawhi can play either defense or offense. If he's not scoring 30 plus on the offense, his defense is shutting everybody the fuck down. Van Fleet came out to play, and then Kyle Lowry, who's not even the man just been getting shit on his whole fucking career, showed up.
I heard he went off in the last game though.
Yeah.
He showed up.
He had 26 points with 7 rebounds and 10 assists. He's almost triple-double on this last game.
He decided that this was his time to actually get a ring after being shit on by LeBron his whole career. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah. I mean,
shoot.
I think that completely without KD. I mean, with KD in the game, it's a different story. But I think Toronto had the better team. They had the better team because Klay Thompson, even though he's up and down and he has on and off seasons and playoffs, he's kind of in the shadows or disappeared. Him and Klay are kind of the same type of player. They don't have super lockdown defense, but they're good enough and they're shooters. That was them. KD is kind of the response to Kawhi, and unfortunately, they didn't have KD because as much as people want to say, "Oh, they don't need KD," or Draymond wants to say they don't have KD, you miss that 24 point a game in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
My thing when people say, "Oh, they don't need KD," I'm like, do you guys not remember who KD is?
Yeah,
there's not a team in the league that if they have KD, you can say, "Oh, they're still as good without KD."
Oh yeah, for sure. That don't even make sense.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you high? It's fucking KD.
Oh yeah.
You can put them on a high school team, and they'll be out there, and they'll be on a collegiate level at least.
Well, this
KD is a team by himself. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, you're good. This is the thing though. Now coming out with this finals, the finals was a great finals. I'm happy. Every single game was really, really close. Every single game was decided by that last second shot or those last possessions, and I like that in the finals. But now coming on with this, following this finals, now we have a big question mark for Golden State Golden State and Toronto, because now Kawhi Leonard becomes a restricted free agent, and along with that, KD and Klay Thompson both become restricted free agents. So in this future, you could actually see a huge dynamic change. I think that Kawhi will probably stay, but I think Golden State's going to lose one of them, and I don't think they're willing to give it.
Doesn't he? I thought he didn't want to be there though.
Originally, he did it. He did it because it wasn't a big It wasn't a big like it wasn't an LA or it wasn't a Boston, an area where they had a lot of how can I say a lot of marketing, a lot of good publicity. You're in Toronto.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Toronto has its own. I mean, they are Canada. They are the Norse and all that
I was
stuff.
gonna say it's a big city. It's one of the big cities in Canada, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not like LA.
Yeah, for
It's not like the
sure, for
Lakers or the
sure.
Clippers.
Yeah.
It's not like the Celtics or the Knicks. It's not one of your bigger
I'll say
programs.
one thing with KD though and his injury is that I think he's in a situation where it's more beneficial for him to stay in Golden State than to leave anywhere else. Because not only, yeah, he's KD's probably best forwards ever, but his Achilles is ruptured. He's over 30, and there's only been a few superstars to have come back in any sport with Achilles rupture, Achilles tear, and play on the same level, let alone past 30,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So he's
sure.
getting older. That injury is hard to come back from. I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's not like it's one of those injuries that you just knock off. Plus, he's going to miss a whole year.
Yeah, but who's to say that Golden State's willing to give him a contract, considering they have to make a decision between him and Clay?
True.
Because I mean, you give your splash brother, someone that you built your franchise around with Curry, versus a guy that came in halfway through and tried to chase a ring.
True.
Honestly, what I wouldn't be surprised of, this injury is going to hamper KD's value. It definitely is. He said he's getting in his 30s. He's technically past his prime. He's at the edge of his prime right now, and he just had a major injury. He probably won't be able to play until midway through the season next season. This is actually ample opportunity for a low team or a team with not a lot of money to come in and swoop him.
New York.
Like I could see the Knicks coming in and swooping him out.
Yeah.
To be honest, I could probably see LA getting him. LA, the Lakers, they can 100% take advantage of the fact that he's not going to be worth a lot. And plus, giving him that idea of, hey, look, we got Anthony Davis now, we got LeBron James, we got Kyle Kuzma, who's a very good, solid young forward. That's very tempting for me if I was KD.
So what? Just move him to a 2?
I would say you could keep him. So with him being hurt, I'd say keep him at the 3. You can play LeBron at 4 and have Kuzma come off the bench as a 3 and a 4 to kind of
Relief as a relief.
yeah, as a relief for both of them, because that's fresh young legs. That's some way that Kuzma can learn from two of the greatest forwards in our generation.
Speaking of legs, how does KD walk on those things?
I don't fucking know. He's got chicken legs for days.
Like the craziest chicken legs I ever seen in my life, like literal sticks. Literal sticks is insane.
Hey, they work though.
They work. Yeah,
That's true. That's true. That shit is
I
crazy.
guess the less weight makes you fly higher and run faster. I don't know.
Yeah.
That shit is crazy.
I don't know if he does go to LA, he's gonna have to put some meat on his bones because LeBron, that fucking 6'6", 280, and AD is like also fucking 6'9", 6'10", 290. It's like these are some big motherfuckers.
Monsters.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking about with a good transition from there to there, what are your guys' ideas on Anthony Davis to the Lakers?
Well, the Pelicans just got way better.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. People can say what they want. Oh, they're going to be without AD. Yeah, but Lonzo's not that bad. Honestly, he's inconsistent as hell. I'll give him that. But it just gives them the positions that they needed to work around with AD they got. So the next superstar forward they get, or if they get themselves a good center or whatnot, they're there.
Did LeVar Ball really say that the Lakers will never win another championship because they got rid of Lonzo?
Yeah, I believe he said something like that. He also said that no matter where Lonzo goes, they'll be successful. So,
Wow.
yeah, I take whatever he says with a grain of salt.
I don't listen to the man anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
gosh.
no, I think AD is going to find himself right at home in LA. He's going to be with LeBron, so he's going to have that chance to learn a little bit up close. And when LeBron leaves, the Lakers aren't going to be missing too much because Anthony Davis is right there.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is the best center of our current generation right now. There's no one that I think of that holds a candle to his performance, his rebounding, anything against him. There's no one I can see that is as good as him right now in the NBA.
I heard a couple people say that the Pelicans got the better end of that deal. But I mean, obviously time will tell.
Pelicans did get the better end of that
So
deal.
it depends on how you look at it. So like we said about Ball, he's not bad. He's not bad. He's obviously in the NBA for a reason, and I think he reminds me of a Rajon Rondo, someone who's kind of heavily focused on defense, who knows how to get the ball to the right person, who could get rebounds. But he's not really a shooter. So I think if you surround him with some shooters, so if you surround him like Brandon Ingram came with him as well. Same with Josh Hart, who both are really good, have a pretty good 3-point percentage, 3-point shooters. The Pelicans got a first round pick, the number 4 pick in this year's draft, to go along with their number 1 pick. Which, I mean, you're going to get 2 lotteries. You're going to get Zion Williams, and who knows who else they can get. Then they could be something really special in a couple of years. I think they have a strong young core now, and I think LA they're going to be good. LA is going to be good, but I think LA kind of went all in on this is championship year. These next 3-4 years are championship years because
they want to get LeBron while he's still can
they want to
play.
get his prime. They want to get LeBron in his prime, and that the tail end of his prime, that last couple of, let's say, championship runs out of him, whether he plays for another 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. I think he's actually probably done in 5 years, to be honest.
Yeah, this year was his first major injury as a player, and it happened when he's older.
It's expected, really.
Yeah, you don't want major injuries at the tail end of your career. You want them when you're young and healthy and still rebound from them.
Yeah, and on top of that, though, I think that to go along with that injury, I kind of feel. I mean, being LeBron's he kind of reminds me of an Adrian Peterson. He's a monster. You don't get physical specimens of his type that often. And I honestly think that this is the first time he's had this much rest and this much time to just sit back and relax. And I think that he's going to come back next season and he's going to surprise everybody. Because a lot of people think, oh, he's old, he got hurt, he's not going to come back. But I mean, he's never rested this much in his career. He's never had this much time to just sit down. He played 60 minutes in almost every game of last year's Eastern Conference Finals and Finals.
Yeah.
I mean, he needed this rest. And I think him coming in with AD, the focus won't be 100% on him. Getting another third person, because, I mean, you got Paul George, KD, Kyrie Irving, all these people in free agency that they could take advantage of. The Lakers are going to be dangerous next year.
Crap. Yeah. But I mean, even inversely, though, superstar teams like that could also be the downfall of a franchise too, no?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we saw that with what is it called? The Thunder. The Thunder didn't really capitalize on Paul George, and I don't want to say Carmelo was a all-star at the time. He was at the tail end. And Westbrook, but that could also be on the player.
Yeah, for
a lot of people say Westbrook is one of the hardest peoples to play with.
I don't like Westbrook play style at all. I don't think he's a 2 guard. Well, I think he is a 2 guard. He's not a point guard. Like, to have him at the 1 is completely like dumb because all he wants to do is shoot the ball anyways. So if you put the ball right into his hand, he's not going to think to pass it off to someone who's wide open or to make the space or whatnot. He's going to just be like, oh, I got the ball, going for a fast break, and I'm going to shoot and miss.
Yeah, either that or he's gonna attempt to get a pass for an assist because he's all about padding and stats.
Yeah.
Westbrook is all about that triple-double. And don't get me wrong, it's an amazing feat to have triple-double, averaging a triple-double for 2 straight years. I think he averaged it for a third this year.
Yep.
But, I mean, it's amazing, but it's...
If you're getting 10 assists, but out of those 10 assists, you have 8 turnovers to go with it, it's like,
yeah.
You got 20 points, but you took 35 shots.
Yeah,
that's not...
He pushed away. He pushed away KD and Harden. And, I mean, just imagine what...
If they all stayed on the same team.
all stayed on the same team. And that tells you something. Because if Westbrook was able to work with those two, and you would have Harden playing the 2 with KD at the 3, and a true point guard in Westbrook, that would, oh my God, that would have been the next dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that's just how he is. He plays for himself, and he's pushing players away.
Yep.
Getting out of the sports world and into another world where black men are also are also in the spotlight. When they see us,
are also in the spotlight.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was going to say slaves to the American media.
When they see us, all jokes aside, when they see us was a very powerful movie. It made a very powerful statement. There was tons of talent in the movie. I think the child actors did a much better job. Well, I don't want to say much better job. I think everybody did a great job, but the child actors were the spotlight to me in the film. I felt the most emotion and just the way they portrayed their characters. And I know Sonny has mentioned this a couple of times. It's really hard to work with child actors, but to me, they did a great job in that film overall.
Oh yeah. Especially the guy who played Corey.
Oh yeah, Jarrell Jerome. I know he was also in Moonlight. He he played the main character's, like, I guess, lover, or like at one point lover. That was a really weird scene. Whatever, because I thought it was a dream, but we won't go into that. That's a topic for another day. Anyway, yeah, Jarrell Jerome did a fantastic job. He was pretty much the central focus in episode 4. His character Corey, or the real life version of Corey, went through so freaking much. I don't know how much was exaggerated and how much was, not necessarily exaggerated, but knowing that he had guards against him aside from inmates, and he was only 16 when he went in there into the prison system, and he was in there the longest. He went to jail. He didn't even go to juvenile hall. He went to jail and then went to prison for years, the longest out of everyone.
Yeah.
That was insane. I couldn't believe that. My heart like broke for him. The dude's mind snapped. His sister died. If I'm being politically correct, his sister passed away, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you just had like a dream or vision about her, and now she's gone. The mom was, trying to get better and get right, while he was away. And she eventually did, try to instill some good, positive words from the good Lord, into him while he was gone. What are some of your guys' favorite scenes, or scenes that hurt the most for you guys?
Okay, I'm just gonna say I was reading your comments on Facebook about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, dang, I really need to watch this. And I went to do an escort, and the lady's like, yeah, have you seen When They See Us? I was like, nah, but I was gonna like watch it like in a couple minutes, like when I get done with this escort. She's like, yeah, I wouldn't watch this one on shift. You might end up being mad.
Oh, for real.
I was like, nah, I'll be all right. I'm gonna watch it, whatever. And made it through episode 1. I was like, yeah, I remember my parents like telling me about this,
Mm-hmm.
And then episode 2, I got internally heated. Like it felt like my blood pressure was rising, like off a cartoon, where it's just like thermostat just going up and up and up. I was just like, yo, the fact that this like still happens
For real.
is like horrible. Like I think one of the worst things that you could ever get talked into is pleading guilty when you know you're innocent.
For real.
Because once you plead guilty, doesn't matter if you did it or not. You admitted being guilty of it. That's how
And they
people
were
see it.
boys. They were just 14
14 years old and 16 years old. Like
Yeah.
14,
Crazy.
and at that time, if you were 16, you'd be questioned without your parents' consent. And Corey, I felt bad because, I like to be good friends with my friends. If they need me, I'll be there for them.
For sure.
And to know the only reason he's roped up in that was because he was being a good friend.
Oh, that was crazy. And he was like asleep on the bench, and they were leaving, and I was like, yo, you need to get your friend. Why aren't you? Oh my God, why are y'all leaving him there?
It's like that.
Oh my God,
it's bad. But that last episode, it was confirmed that Corey did have a fight with the actual guy.
That's crazy.
In New York, and then they met up later and whatnot. I'm just like, this is just
insane.
It's a bunch of craziness, man. Like the whole thing got me heated, but I was like, you know what? Sometimes it takes bad things for people to learn. But the worst part for me is it's 2019. People still think they committed the rape.
That's crazy.
If they didn't commit it, then they were associates of the rapist. The prosecutor and the DA did not want to give interviews so their characters wouldn't be seen, in a negative spotlight. It would be more understanding. They were given that opportunity and they rejected it. And now they're getting dropped by the colleges they work for and the publishing companies. They want to cry. But it's like, no, you were given an opportunity to show where you were coming from, and you rejected it because you didn't want to get seen in a quote unquote negative light.
One of them got dropped by their own nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
I thought that was...
Yeah, I
was
think
like,
her name is Linda Fairstein. She was the one that... So she actually went and talked to the actual director. And I read about this when I was watching the movie, or when I was watching the show. She actually went in and she wanted to have a say on her character's portrayal, for obvious reasons. I mean, she is hands down, she is the villain of this whole story.
Absolutely.
The ones that immediately said that they were wrong, the ones that immediately said the children had done this sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the kids can't do this sort of things. And
yeah, most definitely.
14 to 16-year-olds, I'm not saying that they cannot be the ones that do this, but I mean, watching it, it's extremely hard, especially having I have a kid that's 8 years old right now, turning 9. That's 5 years away from these kids' age. And I could not imagine what the parents have gone through, what the kids went through themselves to be put into this situation. Because like you said, once they pled guilty, they were nothing they could have done, no matter how strong the defense was, no matter how strong of evidence they had against it. They were written out from the start. and it's bad. Like you said, it takes sometimes these bad times in history, these bad implications to happen. Unfortunately, we need this as
A reminder.
as a reminder of to where we were, what we came from, what happened, and how cruel we can be as a society. And it kind of sucks.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like overall, them getting exonerated and then them getting compensation is cool and everything. And I remember immediately, like when the money, even when I saw the number of the money, I was like, okay, whatever. That's, you took their lives away from them. You took their boyhoods away from them, you know? But everybody wants to rag on Michael Jackson, and you know, and he was like, and that was one of his biggest things, was like, oh, I wasn't allowed to be a kid. But y'all snatched this stuff from these boys.
Yeah.
They can't get that back ever. You know, like those extremely formative years gone forever. You know, not learning nothing, you know, like things like learning how to drive, learning how to do certain types of math, you know, et cetera. Like I'm definitely super glad also that some of these boys were like, they had a head on their shoulders and were like, I don't care. This is not going to set me back in my life. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get knowledge. I'm going to learn things. Even Corey, he had a learning disability and learned how to read in prison with the help from a guard, you know. I believe he was played by Logan Marshall Green. He was an Upgrade, and I know he was the first Shocker in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Mhm.
He's a great actor too, and their interaction in that last episode was probably my favorite scene in the whole limited series. Him calling him kid, and then Corey saying, "I like it when you call me kid, makes me feel good," and all that, you know. And I was like, and he said, "I have a kid your age, and if he was in a situation like this, I would hope somebody was treating him right too." He's white.
Yeah.
He's not even black. He's a white guy. There was a black guard later on in the movie that was treating him worse than Logan Marshall Green's character. Oh my gosh. Logan Marshall Green he gave him contraband. He gave him a chia pet, bro. Like, he cared about this kid and understood, like, bro, you're a kid.
Yeah.
Should nobody be putting their hands on you like that, you know? And just, oh man, that was so powerful. And besides, I think everybody's kind of in agreement that Corey is like everybody's favorite character, or like his story was the most impactful. For me, Antron, I feel like, had at least the second most impactful story because of him having his father there, and then kind of shedding that light on like not knowing your rights, not knowing how the legal system works and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is also crazy because his dad had been to prison. So I was almost surprised when I finally learned that. When they tell us that, and then he still goes through with all this, I was surprised. Like, you've been through this before. Like, you should know what is, like, you should know to some degree what's okay, what's not okay, you know? And
well, I think the case with that was, you know, he was like, my son's only 15 years old. Like, they're not gonna like try him as an adult or anything like that, or it's not gonna be as bad, or it's the cops wanting to make the deal, so they'll let go and like work with us. But yeah, in the other half, it's like, this is 1989. No, you mentioned about how the police work and whatever to your son in his face. Why didn't you just sit there and be like, yeah, no, they don't want to make a deal. They want to finish this up so they can move on to the next, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, of course your son's going to be angry with you after what, 6-7 years of sitting in a jail cell. Yeah, he's not going to come back and trust you because
definitely
your advice is the reason why he got put in jail in the first place.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing with like watching Anton's story, and like seeing that barrier. Like you said, his dad went to jail. You said he should probably know a little bit more about that system. I feel as though like watching that moment where he's sitting in there watching his son getting just yelled at.
He was powerless.
Yeah, he was powerless. It shows the corrupt and the lengths that they would go back in those days to be able to just pin a crime on something, just to out of left field pin a crime out of something. Because I mean, I know that the story is kind of exaggerated. In most cases, most of these stories have some exaggerated levels, and I'm not going to say that the scenes where they were being interrogated were, but it just makes you think, where in this whole situation does this lady get this idea it was the kids? Like, where did this come from?
Especially with how far away it was from anything that was happening. They pretty much had an outline of everything that happened in the park, as far as like the dude, like the kids beating up people, even, you know, which none of these kids even did.
Understand like where she get the idea from. It's still wrong, it's immoral, it's unethical. But the whole time, if you remember, she was saying, you know, of all the cases they've had, and they all went unsolved, and they finally have a way to solve one.
An excuse,
a reason to solve one. And you had these 5 kids that were sitting there. Some of them already had records, and you have 5 people you can possibly put the pen on. Oh, if the DNA doesn't match, we'll just say there's a 6th one that they're not giving up.
That's insane. But also knowing even after that, the fact that that wasn't like an isolated incident. There had been like 5 cases prior.
Yeah.
What? Are you what?
You would think that they would like buff up security and buff up patrols and the
something.
It just shows that like nothing mattered. And it's the same sort of thing with like Kevin. Kevin got hit in the face by a goddamn helmet by the cop. And there was a witness to that. But because of all these things that are going on, they're just gonna fucking sweep that under the rug. No one gives a fuck about that, right?
It's NYPD in the 80s.
For real.
Yeah,
for real.
I get it. I understand that was like, it's kind of like the LAPD. It's those things that we understood that back in the days.
That's just how it was.
Back in the old days, and even sometimes a little bit now, it's how the police are.
Should just get swept under the rug.
Yeah, and that sort of stuff just kind of gets forgotten about. And you see it nowadays where kids, even like young adults are getting gunned down, and it's just like, oh, well, this guy's going to get paid leave. Yeah. This cop's going to get paid leave. He's going to be forced retired. He's going to just hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, shit's crazy.
Then that'll be it. And it's just a sad reminder of, okay, yeah, this is how it was in the 80s, but I mean, we're still seeing this stuff now. Things aren't changing as drastically. Yeah, our criminal justice system has definitely gotten better, and our ways of trying to stop things and trying to figure things out before it gets too deep into this corrupt nature is getting better. But I mean, things are still sort of the same.
I would say it hasn't gotten better. The tactics to cover up have just gotten smarter.
Oh, for sure. Which is interesting you say that, because like we have it on both ends. Things get uncovered for like the dumbest reasons. Like I know like there was like body cam footage of like Chicago PD like planting evidence, or like, talking about what they were going to do and stuff, and it's crazy how like you're right. Things definitely have to get better at being covered up, but they get found out in like the dumbest shit that they could possibly get found out by,
But it's 21st century now. Everyone has a camera on their phone.
Yeah, for real.
And you see a lot of videos of cops not wanting to get filmed or whatever. And my thing is that if you're not doing anything that is inherently wrong, or to be wrong,
you should have an issue.
What does it matter if they're recording you or not? If you come and you're like, hey, I'm gonna record you on shift today, I'm just gonna be like, okay, you're gonna see me drive around, do my security checks, and then you're gonna see me watch traffic.
Yeah.
Or however long, because I don't do anything.
That might actually be an interesting idea for police, like to have to kind of like give up their right to not like allow somebody to record them or whatever. Because I mean, I've seen there's plenty of videos where like cops retaliate and they knock somebody's camera out of their hands or whatever. Because like when it gets to the point where it's like, you're obstructing justice, for sure. But if you see something going on and you're a good distance away, you're not bothering nothing, especially with the crime scene or anything like that, I feel like cops should be allowed to be recorded, and there should be no issues. There should be zero things that they can do to get rid of that person, unless that person is truly obstructing justice. Like they're preventing you from getting somebody, they're preventing you from apprehending someone, they're contaminating a crime scene or something like that,
Well, like here we have to wear the microphones on us whenever we like go to calls, or it's beneficial to go to calls with your microphone, or traffic stops with your microphone, because if something happens,
it's recorded.
It shows you being professional and them acting like a dickhead.
Yeah.
Or to reverse, it can show you being a dickhead cop and them acting like a normal, rational person.
Yeah.
It doesn't, if you're being recorded, you're just being recorded. Like,
for real.
That should just make you do your job better, if anything, because you're being recorded and now people are going to see you and how you behave.
Definitely.
But it's people who want to do the wrong thing are going to do the wrong thing regardless. And I know people will be like, always like, oh, what if you had to give up your rights? I'm like, I'm in the army. Like,
what rights?
I gave up.
Gave up my rights. Gave up my rights 10 years ago.
Like, I already gave my shit up. Like, this is nothing to me. Oh crap, they're recording me. There was one time I was being recorded and I told them to put away their phone, and that's because we were at an entry control point. And I was like, hey, you can't record here because, that's right across that gate. I'm gonna need you to, put away your phone and delete that video.
Yeah, and I understand that too. Coming from submarines where everything is super top secret, and we have a lot of things. I feel the same way. I'm also sometimes in security detachments where I have to make sure that people aren't recording, taking pictures, because something as easy as, oh yeah, I'm taking a selfie right next to a boat. That's a matter of national security. And
Yeah, you can't do
I
it.
mean, at no point, I don't want anyone to think that's hearing this. I don't want at any point we want to advocate the idea of being that type of shithead person that just wants to give the cops a hard time or wants to give security any sort of hard time. Like, they're there to do their job, and you're there to, hey, there's a reason why they're stopping you, whether it's to check if you're a citizen or not. I mean, being Hispanic, I've gotten that many times, and it's not a big deal. Pull out your fucking ID and show it to them. Oh, well, okay. And there's no reason to give these guys such a hard time for the job that they need to do. Now, if something's wrong and they're doing something that impinges your rights, then yeah, go ahead. Go to town. But I don't want anyone to think at any point is this like us saying, oh yeah, go ahead, fuck the police and give them all the hardest time that they can. People got to do a job, and I understand that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they're just doing their job. They're just doing their job. But me on the other side, if they're doing something that's wrong or like
Yeah.
is like trying to fuck me up for no reason, or people are like, oh, if they would be resisting arrest, this wouldn't happen. Well, what are they getting arrested for?
Yeah.
Did they do that? Then no. If I didn't do anything, like no matter what situation I'm in, I'm gonna be like, why are you arresting me? I didn't do anything. Like, no, explain to me why I'm getting arrested. And if it makes sense, I'd be like, all right, sure, cool. But I want my lawyer because, I didn't do this.
I think that's all it comes up with people's knowledge as well. Because I mean, the same thing happens all the time.
And just from our experience, even alone, Sam, I feel like me and you both have like a roster full of like people who were dickheads because they were, even just MPs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Such little power, but you want to make everybody's fucking life a fucking hassle, for the littlest things, I mean, I remember we had a guy that used to like post up by stop signs by like a school, like an elementary school, and give tickets all day because like somebody didn't stop at the stop sign, even though there's like no kids present or the kids are in the building and there's nobody outside at all. We're in a military installation. You can clearly see if somebody's out there, if it's active or not. But people want to do what they want to do. Like some people are just dickheads like that. I don't know what the reason is. It's just that people just be like that sometimes.
Well, also, sometimes you just know where you can go to get into something.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
It's Saturday night, it's payday, and you're bored. If you go to this certain housing area or these barracks or this park, something's bound to happen. So you can make work for yourself.
For real.
But there are some people who are just dead set on making work no matter what.
Definitely.
And that's just what it is. And those people, like if you're at an intersection that people speed, and you're like, I'm going to run traffic enforcement so people won't speed here. Good. You're doing your job. If you're rolling around the neighborhood looking for a specific person because they're always fucked up and you're going to make some work for you tonight, you're kind of being a dick at that point. Like, don't go look for these specific people. But if you're just there to like keep the neighborhood calm, like as a presence, you're doing your job. It's good policing versus I'm just here to fuck everybody up.
Yeah.
No matter who you are.
Definitely. Moving away from when they see us, like I'm pretty sure we can all agree. Just finally, really quick, we can all agree that was a great movie. It was powerful and it was impactful. A lot of lessons learned.
Oh yeah.
Kudos to all those gentlemen for serving their time and then being exonerated and they're somewhat of a comeuppance. Moving on from there, E3. Ladies and gentlemen, E3 passed. A lot of information was dropped. A lot of bombshells. I'm totally kidding. There was like no bombshells dropped. I think the coolest game that I've seen was probably Dragon Ball Kakarot. That was probably like my favorite out of everything that was showcased. It was an eventful weekend to some degree. I know not at E3, but like right before Xbox was shown. You guys have any? I know you guys both have PS4s, but I know DJ has an Xbox. You guys excited for that at all?
I mean, I'm excited for Gears. I've always said the one thing that could bring me back to play an Xbox would be Gears of War.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And even then, I don't know if I wouldn't get that system like first thing. It's just like the PS5. I'm not gonna get it first thing. I'm gonna wait wait for the second generation to come out or something like that.
Wait for the bugs to be gone.
Yeah, because if I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it and I want to enjoy myself. But I also have to look at what these finances look like before I go spend big money on an Xbox for one game and see what else they're gonna put out, like that type of thing.
Yeah, for me, for that, for Xbox, the one thing that I will say that I'm happy about, the Project Scarlet looks like a next generation console. 8K display, 8K capacity with 120, I think, frame rate PS. So I mean, it sounds like your next gen console.
Yeah.
Obviously, the positive of backwards compatibility for the last 3 generations of Xbox consoles. That sounds good. Sounds good for all the people that have had the Xbox since the first Xbox, not the Xbox One, but the actual first Xbox. I have the same sort of idea as Sam. I'm happy that Gears is coming out. I played the fuck out of Gears. I've been playing Gears since it first came out. It was actually my first game that I picked up on the Xbox, so it is that quintessential game that I have to get. But the other game that's coming out, obviously, that they teased is Halo Infinite. And as much as I prefer the Bungie Halo, it's
Ha.
it's kind of like what I've told you guys before. I'm gonna pick it up. It's another installment in the Halo franchise, and I've played every Halo campaign. I have to play this one. It's kind of it's what got me introduced to multiplayer. Halo is. It's what put me in my first
It
clan.
has changed so much.
Yeah, shout out to when me, Brandon, used to have a clan back in fucking high
Halo
school days.
3?
Halo 3 days.
Jesus.
But I'm going to play Halo Infinite, but I'm super excited for Gears. Super excited. I played that with my wife. I played Gears 4 with my wife last year, or 2 years ago. So I'm excited to see how they change it.
If hypothetically speaking, if I was looking forward to getting an Xbox, I definitely would be way more hyped for Gears than I would be for Halo. Halo has changed so much, like the multiplayer. Like it is not. I don't know how to explain it perfectly, but it's not the same game that it was like for Halo 1, 2, and 3. It started changing in Halo Reach, in my opinion, like the playability and like the style and stuff, and just the way kind of like what hitboxes and stuff like that worked. And Halo 4, everything looked way different. Movement was different, you know. It just wasn't the same. Once again, it changed even more. I'm sure Halo 5 was the same, and Halo Infinite will probably be the same as well. That is a game which is not necessarily bad, you know. Some people, like everybody wants better graphics, you know, make it look better, make it look cooler. But I feel like Gears of War has managed to do the same, that as well, make it look better every time, make it look cooler, more mechanics, you know, more razzle dazzle. But it has kept the same like sort of formula along, like the chainsaw mechanic usually the same, the Lancer usually the same, you know, Hammer Burst. I think the only game that wasn't the same one was the first game. It changed after the second game. It's been the same since then. Adding guns, sure, but most of the game, the gun mechanics have been the same. Boomer, the torque bow, all that stuff, it's all the same. So I think Gears has managed to keep their same formula and add and incorporate things to it to make it bigger and better. Where Halo kind of like changes like the overhaul of it. You know, the performance of their multiplayer and things like that. Which I mean, the last Halo I played was Halo 4. And I mean, that felt so much different than even Halo Reach personally. But I mean, maybe I just suck though. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's and exactly what you're talking about. I, being someone that played Gears of War religiously when it first came out in Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, picking up Gears of War 4, I mean, just like you said, they changed the formula, but not too drastically. They had slight changes, small things that quality of life changes, but all the guns feel exactly the same. I picked up that game and went into a multiplayer game and played as if I hadn't missed a beat.
Yeah,
My reactions weren't as good. My ability to bounce off walls wasn't as good, but I had the sniper and I was good with the sniper. I had the torque bow and I was a beast. So it kind of felt like picking up an old friend, you know, and I can understand that completely with Halo. I played Halo 5 on a multiplayer and it was just different. It feels like they tried to capitalize on the movement that all the Call of Duties and all the Titanfalls were going for, which, I mean, wasn't really a huge detriment, but it was something that made a big enough change that it made you feel like, oh, well, it's just capitalizing on all the hype. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So aside from the Xbox games, number of other games were obviously announced. We got Avengers. Y'all stoked about that? You know, we got some new Avengers content coming out. First and foremost, fuck the way everything looks in that game. The gameplay that we kind of see, we don't really see what's going on in the HUD, but the gameplay kind of looked pretty simplistic. Didn't look super enticing or exciting. And what's up with my boy Captain America being dead in like the first 10 minutes of the game? Like, is this X-Men The Last Stand? Cyclops got to die right away? The leader has to die right away? What's going on here? What's happening? You know, maybe he's not really dead. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he's not. Either way, that was super lame. I think they said that Taskmaster is one of the villains, at least if not the villain. And I was just thinking to myself, this is kind of silly because just Taskmaster versus the Avengers. What?
Yeah, I mean,
you know, like.
So it comes out May of 2020. So obviously, a year from now is plenty of time to come up with new ideas to change the story. I mean, we've seen stories completely change in a year's time. So I really didn't have a lot of marbles into the Avengers because it took so long. I mean, I think they announced it 2-3 years ago,
For sure.
and I've just been waiting for it. So I kind of like I'm not super excited about it. I looked at it, I watched it. I mean, the graphics look okay, and I mean, I think it was.
Black Widow looks like Thor without a beard.
Yeah. I think it was just a tech demo. If anything, I think that it'll make it's Square Enix, so they are amazing with their graphics and their fidelity.
Definitely
So
true.
I know that they will change that, but
Hopefully.
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, a year, like I said, more trailers. I'll be more interested when those holiday drops come out, because you know that all the holiday things will come out. But the weird thing is, since it's coming out in May, it's kind of gonna be a dual platform game, if I'm not mistaken, because all of your major consoles don't come out till holiday season 2020.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird that Square Enix is dropping it in May. I mean, I would understand maybe October dropping it to be a launch title for those consoles. I mean, that would be something. But at this point, I think they're kind of in a bad spot, because they have to compete with Death Stranding, which is a exclusive drop during that time. Cyberpunk 2787 or 277, which is going to come out as a drop. Same thing with Jedi Fallen Order. All these games that they kind of announced,
Big names.
all these games that they kind of announced, like they're all dropping around holiday season, holiday lineup for the year. And granted, that's perfect time for a lot of these to come out, but there's going to be a lot of competition. And I think the one thing that I'm afraid of is there's going to be saturation
in the
in the
gaming
community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like based off of what you're saying already, like things that are coming out next year are probably going to have like some kind of port for, next generation console,
Yeah.
even though they're already backwards compatible. But I think, and this is like to me like a totally dumb thing. Like, so let's say you get this game right away, right, for PS4, and it looks however it looks or whatever, right? So now PS5 comes out and they're like, oh, like we're also going to re-release this game again for PS5, and they're going to charge you.
Well, that's what they're doing with Death Stranding.
Yeah, they're going to charge you full price, and it's just going to look like the background's going to be a little bit more, have a little bit more going on in the background, and it's like
You'll probably get a DLC character.
yeah, like what are we doing here? Why not just look at the time frame? And I could be wrong, and this could just be for PS4, for Xbox or Xbox One, and that's it. And then you guys got your game already, so just play it on PS5. All right, cool. Then I'm fine with that. But
I doubt that.
if all these games come out, and before the PS5 comes out, and then they also are doing the ports for the PS5, then I'm just like, that. What is the point of that now? If we have backwards compatibility, there's no reason for it.
No, the only reason for it is because, like you said, I could 100% see, okay, get Death Stranding. And Death Stranding, by the way, looks beautiful.
Great,
It looks
yeah.
fucking amazing. But get Death Stranding, play it, and then, oh, well, you can get it for PS5. You want to get that fucking 120 frames per second. You want to get that 8K resolution. So I think that's
Oh,
probably going to be the
man.
big seller point. Then, I mean, being Sony, being Microsoft, I can 100% see them saying, "Oh, you turn in your old copy, you get a new copy for PS5 for $30." I can 100% see that.
After some of those games you named, obviously Jedi Fallen Order and Cyberpunk, a lot of people were super stoked about the Keanu Reeves reveal. I don't know if you guys noticed this in the trailer. I didn't see the gameplay trailer, or if it was one. I just saw like the little cinematic trailer they had. Keanu Reeves kind of like glitched out of the world for a second. I didn't know if that was something, like, I don't know much about Cyberpunk or like any kind of the franchise or like the original story, but I wonder if he's like hacking into his eyes, or if this guy's just seeing him and he's the only person that's seeing him. I was just gonna say there's obviously like enhancements to the body and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So there's cybernetics going on, so that stuff can be hacked, or it could be a glitch or a virus or whatever it is. So that's what I was curious about, if anybody else can see Keanu Reeves, or this is like he's hacked people's eyes so that only you can see
Oh
him or
yeah, if he's
something,
if he's kind of
or
like
nobody else can see
like
him.
an AI of some sort, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know that that's a rumor going around. Considering that, not to make Keanu kind of like a playable character, but make him kind of like your Cortana. Create a Cortana sort of vibe with him. That's one of the theories that I hear, but we will see. I mean, I would like to say that other than a couple other producers or developers, CD Projekt Red is top tier of. I gotta say that what they've done with the Witcher franchise and what they do. Period. CD Projekt Red, I have a lot of respect for. So I'd like to say that they do right by Cyberpunk 2077.
Definitely.
But we'll see.
And aside from those games, and just to touch on Jedi Fallen Order real quick, it reminded me of kind of like a mix of Assassin's Creed and The Force Unleashed, which I thought was pretty dope, because you have like, it seemed like pretty tactical combat, but you also have like a climbing system. So it's a little bit more interactive, instead of just like, oh, just double jump up here and you can make it, or force jump here and you can make it or something, So it looks cool. Definitely want to see more as far as like what you can maybe customize with the character, if you can make your own character, things like that. I'm sure we're going to see loads more ahead of its release, and get a better feel for it. everything, people that I've talked to about the game or like I've shared things about the game have seemed to kind of like vibe with it and they're fucking with it so far. So I'm on board with it already personally. I played Force Unleashed 1, Force Unleashed 2, and if it's just a little bit better than that, I really don't mind, whatever, they bring at us. After that, let's just go into Dragon Ball Kakarot. I thought it was super dope looking. RPG elements. I like the whole party system thing. I want to see what that looks like later on in the storyline, though. Who potentially can be in the party, who can't be in the party? Is this going to affect your actual storyline? Like when you see, Goku goes to King Kai's world or something, is that just going to be Goku by himself, no other party members? Can you be other characters? Can I be Piccolo? Can I be Krillin? Can I be Gohan? What exactly is going on here? This game better not fucking end at Frieza or I'm going to have a fucking conniption. All right.
I don't know what that means. So
no, it better not end at Frieza. That's all I'm gonna say right now. Or I'm squaring up with somebody.
I think that unfortunately, I love Dragon Ball Z. Fucking love Dragon Ball Z, love Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT. But anyway, when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, I think the only thing that I'm kind of getting discouraged about is it's kind of like the same thing. We're getting rehashes of the same type of game over and over and over again. Like the biggest thing that I liked about Dragon Ball Fighters is that it was a really good
Brand new story.
it was a really good well yeah it was a good storyline, but it was a really good fighter. It was a really good fighter game. It's a good game. It had good inputs. It was able to be picked up by the easiest player and can be picked up by the hardest player, the most hardcore, and it had that following. It was a really good game. But like you said, the story was different. I'm not saying that I want another developer to go out there and completely change the story to make it his own, but I'm sort of getting tired of. I mean, I've watched I've watched Dragon Ball Z. I've been on so many deployments that I've watched it and rewatched it. Probably Dragon Ball Z is probably the series that I've rewatched the most in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, it never gets old because it's nostalgic and all that. And don't get me wrong, I playing the game. It's a nice little nod every now and then, but I get bored of it. I played the story. I play the story of every single Dragon Ball Z game that I've gotten once.
Definitely.
That was it. And I don't want that same thing to happen to this. I mean, it looks cool. I mean, RPG elements. It could be amazing.
It almost feels like this is becoming one of those every single year type of games, even though it's an anime and not a game.
Yeah.
Originally, it's like Dragon Ball Z is like the equivalent of Call of Duty now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I want more from a Dragon Ball Z fighter game other than a beat 'em
Well,
up.
the thing about this game is that I don't know if it's going to have a fighting mode. From everything I've seen, I've just seen the RPG elements, and so it's essentially like a 3D version of Dragon Ball Z, Legacy of Goku, or something.
Yeah.
I know they tried to do it before with Dragon Ball Sagas, but that failed miserably, and it wasn't a great game either. The storyline was, I think it goes up to Cell, that was kind of cool, but the game overall wasn't great at whatsoever. It wasn't super cool. Got really repetitive, really fast. Everybody kind of did the same things. Once you learn teleport with Goku, that's pretty much what you do the whole time for the rest of the game. Teleport until your charge attack is ready, and then you shoot a Kamehameha, shoot a whatever ki blast that you got, and then okay, next or next level, next boss, or whatever.
Yeah.
That game wasn't that great. What they were trying to do with it was cool, but hopefully this game, being that it's years later, it's almost a decade later, I believe, since Dragon Ball Sagas came out. Hopefully this game will actually be good. Whether if it's a fighter, we'll see how that goes. Definitely, if there's fighting elements in it. But as far as the RPG story of it all, I like RPGs. I fuck with solo games heavily. Hopefully this stands up to the test of time and is like, this is a great way to tell a story. And I'm sure there's like even in Boost Fury, Legacy of Goku 1 and 2, there were side characters or side stories. That you don't just follow this one story of, oh, we're going to fight up to Frieza and that's it. Oh, we're going to go up to Cell, that's it. Oh, we're going to go up to Boo, that's it. There's a bunch of side stories interwoven in between. And I think that'd be really cool too, because most Dragon Ball games that come out, you don't see all of like the movie elements, or even I know like Xenoverse, even they didn't I think the only character they had from like any movie was Broly, and then like Xenoverse 2 had basically took everything from Dragon Ball Z, introduced all the movie characters, and then it also even went into Super. So it ended up being a cool game, fun game that people still play today. But like you said, Fighters was a great fighting mechanic game. It was great in that aspect, period. It wasn't necessarily about the story, it wasn't necessarily about anything else other than that. It was people fuck with this game, the fighting elements of this game. Borderlands, I don't know if you guys seen that. That's probably the game that I want to get for sure.
Yeah.
Over anything else that came out. They revealed the powers for that, for all the characters. I think that's really cool. This is probably the first Borderlands game for me that all the characters look great. I could see myself being any of the characters and having a good time. Past games, I couldn't really see myself being all the characters and having a great time. But this game, for sure, all the characters, I want to be all the characters, and I think the game's going to be great overall. More guns, hopefully better graphics. Interested to see the new the trees, the character skill trees. I wonder if it's going to be the same because all the other games, they're pretty much the same. Like got your 3 main, whatever lines, and then it goes down from there. But it's none of them have been longer than the other ones. So I wonder if they're going to improve on that at all, or if it's just going to be the same. Either way, if I can get those 4 characters with the old characters, that would be awesome. If I can get those 4 characters and then some new characters along the way, that's cool too. Borderlands is Borderlands. It's a great story. It's a great game. I can't wait to get it.
Yeah.
I just really want to touch real quick on Pokemon too, though.
I was going to say that we've gone through this whole conversation and we've been talking about so much about Xbox, about PlayStation. We never even touched on Nintendo. And talk about Pokemon.
Then, okay, real quick, the Nintendo reveals were for Super Smash Brothers, and they added in Banjo and Kazooie. Yay, Banjo and Kazooie! I'm sure everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, they actually do it!" It was a Super Troll trailer, but it was dope though. And then they also introduced the
Dragon Quest characters.
Dragon Quest, the Dragon Quest main characters. I guess I don't know if they're like all Echo Fighters or if they're like interchangeable or something, but still looks cool. Really, regardless. Dragon Quest, I played like Dragon Quest 9 and one of the old ones. They're pretty fun games, little RPGs. After that, though, Pokemon, a bunch of stuff was revealed for Pokemon and discussed about Pokemon. One of the biggest things, mechanics, what they're not going to have, what they will have. Mm-hmm. You can go on YouTube and look up a trailer. It looks beautiful. No Mega Evolutions, no Z moves, but you got Dynamaxing. You got these big ass Pokemon with these big ass Pokeballs. They revealed the legendary Pokemon. I don't really care for them. There's not going to be a national Pokedex. That's probably a crime against humanity.
Yeah.
Any thoughts really quick from you two?
For me, Pokemon is Pokemon. I'm going to get it. I'm going to play it. Yeah. Dynamaxing is kind of it's like I told you guys, it's the raid mechanic from Pokemon Go. They're trying to capitalize on that sort of thing. And I mean, I'm excited because it's the first. We've been waiting for a console Pokemon for so long. And Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee was kind of just that little like, oh, I'm going to put my feet in the water just to test it in. But I'm excited. No national dex is like you said, it's a crime against humanity. Kind of sucks. But just like how fucking Sega's trying to change the wheel with Sonic and say, oh, we're going to re-CG everything. I'm hoping they do the same thing here.
For real.
But no, I'm just gonna add in that like James says, Pokemon's Pokemon. I'm going to get it regardless. It's really the only reason why I stick around with Nintendo is Pokemon, and sometimes they release a really good Smash and they bring back like classic Mario a lot.
Sure.
But I just want to know the post game because I like battling online with people, and I like IVs, EVs, and specialties and moves and shit like that. Because once I get into the meta, I'm actually pretty decent. I want to see where the story goes because you can play with your friends. I want to see how that's going to incorporate in the story actually, or is it just going to be for these specific things like the Dynamax battles and stuff like that?
Yeah. No, in Pokemon, they didn't release everything.
Yeah, no, of course they're not going to release everything because it's going to be like 6 months into the game and we're still going to be finding stuff out about Pokemon.
Yeah.
We're still finding stuff out about like Sun and Moon. Like it's crazy. But I'm also gonna put this one thing out here. Taylor has never beaten me in a Poke battle.
Wow.
And it's gonna stay that way.
Wow.
Well, that's also because you never played me.
I just want to point out for our viewers or our listeners that the only reason why Sam beat me, and I told him, I said, look, my Pokemon are not at level 50. His Pokemon were past level 50. It evens out at level 50, but my Pokemon hadn't even evolved yet. So he's got a Charizard to my Charmeleon, he's got a Venusaur to my Ivysaur, and he's got a Blastoise to my Wartortle. And he has a fucking Eevee that has all those elemental properties to fuck up any of those. Where I have a Pikachu who is obviously, as we know, electricity. So
you should have been on your shit.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I think my final plug I want to put in before we close off, talking about Nintendo and talking about Pokemon and how big it is. I was actually pretty surprised about the sequel to Breath of the Wild. Legend of Zelda has always been near and dear to my heart. It's my favorite, low-key my favorite ever game. It's the first game I ever beat when I was a kid. This is the first game that really introduced me to this huge open world. I'm talking about, obviously, Ocarina of Time. And I'm looking forward to this new installment and hoping that they do it right by the Zelda property.
You use Link in Smash, too,
yes,
don't you?
All the time. If I could, I would use him in any fighter. Even when they had him in Soul Calibur back on the GameCube, I played as Link.
Oh, wow.
Ancient technology.
Yes, Legend of Zelda is my shit. I've played and beat every single Legend of Zelda that has ever come out.
That's how my brother was, and then he just kind of stopped. But
because he's not a true fan.
For sure,
he's not a true fan. And if you're watching this, you are not a true fan if you've not done that.
Oh man. But all right, guys, I think that wraps up this installment of Culture by the Uncultured. Hopefully, you guys got some cool recommendations for when they see us. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. Real powerful, some really hard hitting scenes. You'll learn about it, the Central Park Five, a famous case in the '80s. Hopefully, you got some knowledge for about E3, some of the releases. We kind of just skimmed over them real quick, but a lot was going on. There's a lot of trailers. You could pretty much look that up online. I know like there was a Twitch stream for it, so I'm sure there's somewhere on YouTube. You can pretty much look up any of the games that were revealed at E3 and get information and Google them yourselves, not to sound trolly. And finally, congratulations to the Toronto Raptors for winning their first ever NBA championship. Kudos. Drake dropped 2 songs, in case y'all didn't know. Check them out. One of them is really cool. The other one features Rick Ross.
The one he did solo that he just dropped. That shit.
Yeah. It's fire. Fire.
It's fucking fire.
But all right, guys, this will be Culture by the Uncultured, and we'll catch you guys next time.